right. So Hootie, what can we expect this weekend? What we got going on?
Housing, crafting, what is it? Rapid shot discovery skills. A couple quality of life things. There's other stuff in there I can't remember.
All right. Good talking to you.
We're good to go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get full patch notes out probably like Saturday or something like that.
Okay.
To get them all together. There's a lot though. So.
Yeah. Okay. So like with housing, what's coming out? What can we expect?
All of the housing stuff and bonus activation. My guess is nobody's gonna reach past level like 8 of the housing unless you've got like millions of nails and hundreds of thousands of planks. So yeah, housing in general is just like a giant Leol sink. So that's about it. The big stuff is in the crafting change. So that'll be fun. Hopefully it's not horribly broken.
So someone logs in Sunday afternoon. Is the interface going to be any different? How are they going to get to construction?
Construction is going to be done in the construction yards in one of the 5 cities. And you're going to be able to basically build your house. Oh, goodness.
We'll edit that out.
You're going to build your house through that system, and then you go into your profile, and there will be a home tab. And then if you click on the home tab, it will determine whether or not you have the level 1 building contract. And if you do, then it'll ask you what city you want to put your house in. You select the city, it'll build the house, and then it's going to show you a nice little interface that basically says how much space you have, lets you add an addition there if you have any addition contracts, stuff like that. And then once you add an addition, you'll be able to open the addition and activate for free every 24 hours. It's going to get reset at midnight server time. And first one's free, and then it scales up 25% every time you activate it.
So what's going to be the initial cost for the shack?
Cost, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but it's cheap. I think it's 2 hours to build, assuming you use the standard materials, normal materials, and I think at this point most people are doing higher.
600 planks, 3,000 nails?
Sounds about right. It's pretty damn cheap.
Yeah.
I think the time cost is probably the biggest part of it. So the shack's going to be really easy to build. The level 1 additions are all really cheap and easy to build as well. So I have no doubt people are going to get the first level of house very quickly. And then after that, it's a significantly higher, I want to say it almost doubles every addition and housing level, the requirements for it.
Yeah. So we got new cities?
Yep, 3 new cities. Emelglad, I don't know how to pronounce that one, Kauruin, and Necropolis. Those are the 3 new ones.
Any particular reason to pick one over the other right now?
Right now, no. We can actually activate bonuses, right, where we're going to be able to, I don't have it fully in, per city, and only the people who live in that city are going to get the bonuses for using those spots. But those are only going to be activated by like admins or world events at some point. So right now, there's not really a strong reason to. Eventually, once I have like the army territory control stuff, those can apply bonuses to the city residents and stuff like that. But once that comes into play, I'm going to give people a free, move your house to wherever the hell you want kind of option. And I will be implementing down the road the ability to move your house from one city to another. That'll be like time-based, so you click a button and in 3 days your city moves to the new location, and you can still use your housing bonuses and stuff like that, just you don't get the city-specific bonuses until you wind up in the new city. So you're never going to be locked into a particular location, especially because once the guild system comes out and guilds can control cities and stuff like that, I fully expect people are going to be shifting around a lot as kind of control changes hands within the city, and we'll open up new cities as needed. So I think 5 is a pretty good spot for now, considering how many guilds and players we have. We might be wrong. I mean, we have 600 to 700 actives. 5 actually might be a little small. I think it'll be clear to us once guilds open up. We're expecting maybe 3 to 5 guilds per city, and that's how many seats there will be in each city. So we'll see what happens.
All right. So crafting update.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So queuing is being added?
Yeah, so there's a queue now, and on the dashboard you're going to be able to see all of your crafting queues. So we're removing the skills from the dashboard because most people just go to the profile for that now anyways. The dashboard is effectively useless outside of first logging in. But now you're going to be able to kind of get a glance at all your crafting queues instead of having to go into each particular building to see them. But you have 1 queue per skill, effectively. Components are not in the queue system yet. They're going to be added. It's fairly easy for me to do, but there's some quirky caveats to that I don't want to rush into. And I didn't want to delay this release any longer, so... yeah, it's anything blacksmithing, tailoring, woodworking, all that stuff. You'll go to the actual city location, you'll select whatever recipe you want, you'll select your ingredients and how many you want to make and the quality of your produced items, and then it'll tell you the difficulty, how long it'll take to make it, and what you're rolling. You add it to the queue and it adds an entry to the queue. You unlock more queue slots as your level increases. So I think by default you start out with 3, and then at 50 you unlock 1, 100, 150, 200, and then I think it's every 100 levels after that. So as you get more proficient, you can kind of queue stuff up for a little bit longer.
So this will be like time-based crafting?
Yeah.
You kind of just set your target goal and let it run, so you're not producing a million of the same thing to try and...
Exactly. So Mastery is also going to work on failure. That's being added in this update. Mm-hmm. So every tick you do something, you get Mastery for whatever it is you're doing.
And that'll work for Gathering as well, right?
Yep. Gathering, combat, crafting, all of it, except for construction, which doesn't really have Mastery right now because Mastery is going to be added to the furniture, not to the actual housing systems. So that's just experience-based. Yeah.
So what about dice roll for crafting? Like, what's the current state of implementation for that?
Same as Gathering, basically. Weighted exactly the same. Difficulties go up by 5s, so, normal's 5, Elder's 10, Rare is, 15, whatever. You are able to upscale, though, which is a little different. So you can put normal items and try to make an Elder outcome, but it drastically raises the difficulty. And you can kind of mix and match, right? So if the market only, if there's, you need 3 ingredients and 2 of them you have the right ingredient or higher, and 1 of them the market's just not there yet, you can use that lower ingredient and use higher on the other 2 to kind of offset the costs on that. So hopefully it makes the material market a little healthier, just in general.
So that's for component crafting?
No, that's for all crafting.
All crafting.
All crafting.
Okay.
Component crafting hasn't been touched right now.
Okay.
That's staying stagnant. And I don't really know when I'm going to tackle that. I need to design the combat rework and see if I can break it into bits and pieces. I probably want to get the component stuff into the queue as soon as possible because I think the component crafting market right now is pretty fucked with some people leaving this void that can't be filled and nobody can make good stuff until then. So yeah, I mean some people, it's fine if they leave. That's I don't want a person leaving to just destroy the economy of the game. That's a significant sign that there's something wrong with the implementation itself. So I want to get that into the system as soon as I possibly can. Crafting tools too. That's something that Korean and Cube and a bunch of other people have just been hounding on for a while. I just don't know the good bonuses for that. So I think what I'm going to do is once it's released, I'm going to kind of do almost like a Q&A session and try to get people's opinions on what bonuses should be and what feels balanced and stuff like that. Because I built the Gathering tools myself, and some of the bonuses are great, but I'd say 70% of them are just not as good as this other one, so I'm going to use this other one instead. Ideally, I don't want that to happen with the crafting tools, but we'll see what happens, what people's ideas are. So the heavy focus is going to be the crafting or combat rework next, but there's still some loose ends to tie up as we go along. But thankfully, those don't take nearly as long.
So how exactly is the dice roll in difficulty? How does that tie in with your projected outcome? So if you're trying to make a more difficult item and setting rarity, how does that all work together?
So if you are trying to upscale, say you have a normal item and you want to put it into a rare product, normally if you have all rare, the difficulty is going to be 10. If you put a normal item in there, it adds 5 difficulty. there's a modifier that gets added based on how much higher you want to scale things up. So if you're trying to make something ascendant from normal materials, I think the difficulty is like 200 something. Like, it's ridiculously hard to do because you shouldn't really be able to do that. I'm not saying you won't be able to hit that at some point in the future, but right now that's just not feasible. So really, I don't want to make it so that everybody with lower tier items can just go ahead and craft the next best thing. That's not really the goal. It's more of a help dilute the current ridiculous normal Elder Rare market, because the gatherers didn't want to do anything higher because of the failure rate and them not being able to gain mastery. It was a vicious cycle that I think mastery on failure is going to fix that. It's really going to add higher rarity materials to the market, but it's right now the supply of the lower end materials is just heavily focused towards the bottom 3 rarities. So hopefully that upscaling thing will help for now. And in the future, I don't see it used as much, other than new players coming in and maybe putting cheaper lower tier mats on the market. And if a crafter can easily swing the upscale, then they're more inclined to buy the cheaper stuff, because for them they're still able to succeed more often than not. And that's the other thing too, with this new system, failures aren't as punishing. So when you fail, you don't just lose those materials, you just don't gain a tick in the process. So the first tick on a queue entry is going to take all the items from your inventory. So nothing gets removed from your inventory until you actually start processing that one entry. And then it just goes until you finish it. And you're able to cancel it anytime. You don't get all of your materials back. I want to say it's 95% or something like that. So there's a little bit of overhead just to stop people from just canceling, at any time. But it will give you, say you got 50% of the way through. If you cancel at that time, it'll give you 50% of your expected outcome at that time. You just won't get all of the refunded materials back. So you only get, 45% of the remaining 50% back. Or I guess it'd be more, whatever. So yeah, that's basically how that system works.
Gotcha. Cool. Anything else?
I'm sure there's more that I don't remember, but we'll find out when it gets pushed live.
Sounds good.
Yep.
All right. So this is Brad. I don't know that anyone's ever seen you before.
Hey guys.
Stricter 14.
That's right.
So what have you been doing lately?
So I've been working on the guild system. I have some new guild districts that I'm hoping to roll out to test server in the next week or two. Adding, joining guilds, that sort of thing, making progress on all that. I don't have the guild inventory set up yet, so we're getting through that, but it's been primarily that.
This is where we need the Coke sponsorship so we get paid for the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Can we do that? A little bit of that? No. Yeah, so primarily focused on guilds. I haven't been doing any of the little fixes recently. Life's been busy, but
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot more than that, really.
Okay. All right. Do you have a timeline, or what can we expect from guilds?
Loaded question. Don't answer that.
I am hoping to have the guild districts on the test server within 2 weeks, before my vacation at least. And then after hopefully at least that point, people will be able to join guilds, even though they won't be able to do anything in them. And that'll help a little bit, and we'll go from there. So,
Cool.
that's the hope anyway.
Guild tags incoming.
Yes, there will be guild tags.
No longer does Discord have to be polluted with free TTF, SSOB, NB. Dear God.
They're still going to do it in Discord even if we have guild tags in game, but yeah, I've been getting a lot of good suggestions. I know there are a lot of old suggestions for guilds that we've pinned or saved, and I am looking at all that to try to implement what we can. So it's going to be fun when it's all done. Just there's still a lot of work to do to make it the way you guys really want it to work. So we'll get there.
Promises. That was a promise
He
right
didn't
there.
say next weekend.
He said
No,
we'll
I didn't.
get there.
He didn't propel the meme.
Should I say soon?
Yeah, right.
Soon,
Yeah.
guys.
All right. So what's the status of servers here? I know there's been a lot of talk about the health of the servers and also the test server. How are things working out with that?
Test server's great. Test server's nice and healthy. The size I got is a little bit overkill for how often people go on it and test, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. the primary server's health is mediocre at best, I guess. It's gotten better. I did a lot of optimization stuff on there, which is really more just me Googling the shit out of Nginx and trying to figure out what the
and demonetized.
it was bad. I already said the F word before.
Oh, okay.
You're screwed anyways. So it's not great, but I know the issues, and it's more because I was an amateur when I set things up than anything else. So it's not like it's unfixable, and it's not going to be a gigantic problem. I just need a little bit more money to play with buying extra servers and seeing what method works best so that I don't have to do this again in the future. Because we want the game to be able to scale, so really we just need to separate out, database from application from web server, get a load balancer in there and fun stuff like that. So I'm confident that that's not terribly challenging to do. I'm just waiting for some extra funds in my wallet to be able to do that. Not asking for donations, more just I am waiting for a tax return to do that. And then once I have a good solution, I'll probably push it to test server. I'll probably do a stress test where I get everyone onto the test server, and that way I can see adding dynamically multiple servers to the load balancer and making sure it's spreads out the weight evenly, and the new database architecture works appropriately. We'll probably be changing from MySQL to Postgres because apparently that's better when it comes to larger systems. I don't
That's what they say, but I hate Postgres.
I'm still reading on that one. It's not terribly hard to do. It's just going to be a really, really big data migration. So we might do that. We might not. My guess is we probably won't initially because it's just more work, and we'll stick with MySQL until it becomes an apparent problem that is specific to MySQL. But it's healthy enough now. If we had a massive influx of players, with housing and stuff like that might be an issue, and I might have to address it sooner. But I don't think housing's going to do it. Combat might. Offline gathering certainly will. Offline gathering is the next time we're actually going to advertise for the game again, and I fully expect the 1,500-1,600 people influx that we had when beta started, when we initially had the offline system. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, but we will have the servers in a stable enough state to be able to handle that traffic with the new offline systems. So yeah, that's where we're heading now.
Yeah. So what's your ideal server number right now? If you could be, where would you be right now?
Like number of servers I have?
How many servers would you have if you could?
I need so initially, at least, we're going to do a database and an application server. I think endgame is database server, application server with multiple application servers, depending on what we need, and then a load balancing server, and potentially, depending on how the offline implementation goes, a job server, so that there's actually something that manages the offline actions alone, like nothing else manages those other than that server. I don't know how that system would work yet. At least initially it's going to be on the application servers, and I hope just adding enough of those will make the background processing a hell of a lot easier. I'm positive it will. I implemented the first offline system poorly. There was a mechanic that I didn't quite understand yet. Now that I do, I'm confident that I can get that one working. But really, it's a question about scalability. So we'll see. I mean, eventually, we want to get this on the mobile and the mobile market. And once it goes there, the sky's the limit in terms of user base, which is both fantastic and terrifying. It's something that once we do this rework, I think we'll have a better understanding of how servers communicate with themselves and how we can make this flow a little bit better. But I'm not too concerned right now. The server we have is absolutely gigantic, so it would take another 100, 200 people idling actively in order to actually bring this thing down.
So we've got 700 or so people active within the past few days.
Yep.
4,700 almost accounts.
Yep.
So.
And new people coming in every day, which is surprising considering
Large
the size of the community. These web games aren't exactly the most popular things in the world. So the fact that we get between 15 and 30 new people every day is somewhat surprising. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for taking some time.
Signing off.
Hootie. Brad. C14. Constrictor 14.
Hi, guys.
So that's what happens when you don't have a username that's your last name as well.
At least I don't get turned into the Hoobie bot, so.
Yes.
whatever.
At least your name is not Hoobie.
Yep, that's true.
All right, cool. All right, so thanks to Hootie and Constrictor 14 for spending some time at our favorite barbecue. I would highly encourage everyone to throw some money their way. They've got a Patreon, and just be a part of it. Help these guys out, help them reach their server goals, and help offset the people being added every day. A couple bucks goes a long way to getting some new servers up and going for them. Everyone's performance will be better. You'll have access to the test server. You'll get a cool little color in Discord. So I'll post the links in the description of the video. Go ahead and check that out. They're not asking me to do this. I'm doing this by myself, of my own accord. There's not any guns to my head right now. So keep it cool, guys, and master everything.